Okay, all right already, all right. I heard you the first time. I'm here. Boy, that still small voice. It's not so still and it's not so small. Good morning and welcome to Wrigley Field. My name is Rob Raucci. Thank you for being here, and a big welcome to our YouTube subscribers. We welcome you this morning. You like my baseball cap? One of my favorite teams, the Chicago Robs. And everybody who knows I don't wear baseball caps, so this will sit out for the rest of the game. Anyway, we're in the home stretch of our Metaphysics in the Movies series. In fact, this one, and there's one more next week, Ron Holdaway will be doing the Shawshank Redemption. And a while back when the Rev proposed doing Metaphysics in the Movies series, I did, as a follow-up, I was going to do, or follow-up to The Matrix, I was going to do Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. But one day a voice said, if you do Field of Dreams, they will listen. So, how could I resist? It's the still small voice. Anyway, Field of Dreams is a 1989 movie starring Kevin Costner, Amy Madigan, James Earl Jones, Timothy Busfield, and Burt Lancaster. The movie is based on the book Shoeless Joe. Here is my autographed copy by the author, W.P. Kinsella. It is a wonderful book, and the movie does a pretty good job of capturing the flavor and essence of Mr. Kinsella's writing. And as an aside, I've been to the Field of Dreams movie set in Dyersville, Iowa, shortly after the movie came out, and it had such a charm to it. I wouldn't say it's so magical, but it was very peaceful. It was on a farm. It's this baseball field literally in the middle of Iowa cornfields. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's very peaceful. I know it's been bought out. I think the original family, a Lansing family, sold it to a company, so now it's really a major tourist attraction. But so I've been to the Field of Dreams, and if you'd like to touch my garments after service, you can. Now, if you've seen the film Field of Dreams, and I'm sure probably most of you have, and I were to ask you what the film is about, you'd probably say baseball, right? Well, you're wrong. It's not about baseball. It's about forgiveness. Forgiveness. Ooh, the big F word, forgiveness. Not a very manly thing, forgiveness, is it? Now, especially when it comes to forgiving ourselves, right? We don't do that. We don't deal with that forgiveness nonsense. Oh, my God. Well, Ray Kinsella, the author, W.P. Kinsella, conveniently used his last name for the lead character. Ray Kinsella is played by Kevin Costner. Now, he's a young Iowa farmer with a wife and a child who one day gets a big wake-up call in the middle of, you're not going to believe it, a cornfield.
What was that?
What was what?
That voice just now. What was it?
We didn't hear anything.
If you build it, he will come. Okay, you must have heard that.
Sorry. Hey, come on in to dinner. Let's go, Pumpkin.
So Ray hears that voice again in the field a few days later and screams, "Build what?" And then he has a vision. A baseball field appears, and the man on the field is Shoeless Joe Jackson. He was a member of the 1919 White Sox team that was also alleged to have thrown that team, or thrown that game, thrown the World Series, excuse me. And Shoeless Joe was also a baseball hero of Ray's father, John. Now, Ray is hell-bent on building this baseball field, but what is his real motivation to build this? Later that evening, as Ray is musing about building the field, his wife, Amy, is incredulous as she asks if he is serious about this endeavor. "I'm 36 years old, I have a wife, I have a child, I have a mortgage, and I'm scared to death that I'm turning into my father," Ray says. When Amy asks what his father has to do with it, Ray replies, "I never forgave him for getting old." Ray mentions that his mom died when he was 3 years old, and by the time Ray was born, his father was already an old man. Now, I'll share something with you. I lost my mom when I was 13, and she left behind 6 other children, the youngest being 6 months old. And I don't really remember too much about those years growing up without a mom. I know there was a struggle. I know there were good times, probably a little bit more than the other, one over the other, but I'm not sure which. And I supported my dad the best I could at 13 as a surrogate parent, while my brothers and sisters kind of lashed out in one way or another. So maybe being the oldest in a family like that kind of puts you in a position of responsibility, whether you like it or not. Which is not to say that I didn't butt heads with my father during that time. I did, and we both said a lot of things that really hurt. So anyway, Ray decides to plow part of his cornfield under in order to build this baseball field, much to the chagrin of his fellow farmers. Using the power of imagination, Ray creates, in his words, something totally illogical. And we know one of the 12 powers of imagination is the ability to image, picture, conceptualize, envision, and dream. Okay? That's how we put it together. So, months pass before anybody appears on this magical field. Okay? In the meantime, financial worries are starting to pile up, affecting the Kinsella family, because less acreage means less corn, and less corn means less money. Finally, one evening, sure enough, Shoeless Joe Jackson shows up on Ray's field. Ray and Joe hit the ball. They play a little catch. Joe thanks Ray for building the field, and everybody lives happily ever after at the end. Not.
Ease his pain.
What? Sorry, what? I didn't understand. What?
Ease his pain.
Ease his pain? What the hell does that mean, ease his pain? What pain? Right? Whose pain?
That still small voice, man, does not give up. Ease his pain. I mean, has that voice nagged you lately? To push yourself through whatever you're facing right now, whether it's a health challenge or a relationship challenge, or maybe something as mundane as throwing away the scads of useless crap that you've collected over the years. You know, the stuff that you say you're attached to. Ray ponders this new directive while he and Annie attend a school PTA meeting, which is about book censorship. And one of the authors up for censorship is Terrence Mann. And it's during this tense meeting that Ray feels that it's Terrence Mann whose pain needs to be eased. Now, Terrence Mann is played by James Earl Jones, and Terrence Mann is also a recluse, so he's gone into hiding. He doesn't want to be bothered. He doesn't want to have to deal with the public. He doesn't want anything at all to do with anybody. Now, what's interesting in the book, Shoeless Joe, the Terrence Mann character was actually J.D. Salinger, who in real life didn't want any of those things either. However, when they made the movie, Salinger was still alive, and he said, "You put my name in the movie, I'm going to sue you." So they kept his name out of the movie. In any case, Ray decides to go meet Terrence Mann because of an article that Mann wrote in which he revealed that he had a dream of wanting to play baseball, but he never had. So Ray drives to Boston with the intent to kidnap Terrence Mann, and to take him to a ball game. He's trying to convince man to accompany him by using his own words from an article he wrote, and they go like this. There comes a time when the cosmic tumblers have clicked into place and the universe opens up for a few seconds to show you what is possible. Now, haven't we all experienced something like this? We might call it a great insight or a clarity to see beyond our current circumstances with such vivid detail and passion that however improbable the situation, it can and will be done. Now, Arthur Conan Doyle, who's one of my favorite authors and the creator of Sherlock Holmes, said through Holmes that whenever you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. So, anyway, Ray discovers getting a recluse like Terrence Mann to agree to go along to a baseball game may take drastic measures. So Ray sticks his finger in his pocket and says it's a gun and convinces Mann to go with him to attend this Boston Red Sox A's game because Ray is convinced something's going to happen there.
Go the distance. Go the distance.
What's the matter?
You didn't see that?
See what?
I'm sorry, I guess you didn't have to be here.
What?
Whenever you want to go, we can go.
Fine, let's go. What is it you're not telling me?
I've already taken up too much of your time.
I wish I had your passion, Ray. Misdirected though it might be, it is still a passion. I used to feel that way about things, but you got another message, didn't you?
You think I'm crazy?
I already think you're crazy. What did it say?
Said the man's done enough. Leave him alone.
Moonlight Graham.
The interesting thing throughout this movie is that even though Ray questions the voice, even though he still has a little reluctance about following it, he does follow through on this guidance. Thoughts held in mind reproduce after their kind. You hear that a lot in Unity. The late New Thought minister, Reverend Johnny Coleman, used to say, "I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts that makes the thing." So now, Ray and Terrence travel to Chisholm, Minnesota to meet up with Archibald Doc Graham, which, much to their dismay, turns out to be dead, that he died years ago. But that still small voice is pulling the strings, and it hooks Ray up with Doc Graham, played by one of my favorite actors, Burt Lancaster, who, as it turns out, had his own dream.
What do you want to talk to me about?
Well, when you got to the majors, you played only one inning of one game. What happened that inning?
It was the last day of the season. Bottom of the 8th inning, we were way ahead. I'd been up with the club about 3 weeks, but I hadn't seen any action. Suddenly, old John McGraw points a bony finger in my direction, and he says, "Right field." Yes, sir. I jumped up like I was sitting on a spring, grabbed my glove, and ran out on the field.
Did you get to make a play?
I never hit the ball out of the infield. Game ended, the season was over. I knew they'd send me back down. I couldn't bear the thought of another year in the minors. So I decided to hang them up. Oh, sit down.
Thank you. So what was that like?
It was like having this close to your dreams, and then watch them brush past you like a stranger in a crowd. At the time, you don't think much of it. You know, we just don't recognize the most significant moments of our lives while they're happening. Back then, I thought, well, there'll be other days. I didn't realize that that was the only day. And now, Ray Kinsella, I want to ask you a question. What's so interesting about a half an inning that would make you come all the way from Iowa to talk to me about it 50 years after it happened?
I didn't really know till just now, but I think it's to ask you if you could do anything you wanted, if you could have a wish.
And you're the kind of a man who could grant me that wish?
I don't know, I'm just asking.
Well, you know, I never got to bat in the major leagues. I'd have liked to have that chance, just once, to stare down a big league pitcher, to stare him down, and just as he goes into his windup, wink. Make him think you know something he doesn't. That's what I wish for. Chance to squint at a sky so blue that it hurts your eyes just to look at it. To feel the tingle in your arm as you connect with the ball. To run the bases, stretch a double into a triple, and flop face first into third. Wrap your arms around the bag. That's my wish, Ray Kinsella. That's my wish. And is there enough magic out there in the moonlight to make this dream come true?
What would you say if I said yes?
I think I'd actually believe you.
Everybody in this movie has a dream. You getting that impression? I think that's why they call it Field of Dreams. What do you think? I mean, it wouldn't make sense if they called it the Field of Far-Fetched Ideas that doesn't have a small snowball's chance in hell of coming true, right? That wouldn't make sense. In the meantime, while Ray is in denial about losing the farm, Annie is holding the dogs at bay as her brother and his partners are trying to foreclose on the farm. Things are getting tense for her as Ray is still trying to figure out the still small voice in all this direction. Ray and Terrence leave Minnesota, head back to Iowa, because Terrence wants to see the Field of Dreams for himself. So on the drive, Ray shares with Terrence his somewhat turbulent years with his dad, going so far as to say that he refused to play catch with his father. And once more, Ray said, that he could never respect his dad, whose hero, Shoeless Joe, was a criminal. Ray reveals, sadly, that the son of a gun died before he could ever take it back. You know, something happened, as I was mentioning, my mom passed away at a young age. When my mom was dying, she spent most of her time at home for the 6 months that she had. And she asked me one day to help her change her clothes. And I was like 12, 13. Because she was in pain and she couldn't do it for herself. And I couldn't do it because I was so embarrassed because I didn't want to see her without her clothes on. And even though she understood, for years after that, I never forgave myself. My embarrassment seemed so petty compared to what she was going through. But she did forgive me. And eventually, I forgave myself as well. Now, on the way back to Iowa, Ray and Terrence pick up a young hitchhiker by the name of, wait for it, Archie Graham, who just happens to want to play baseball. So the three new friends make it back to the farm to scores of old and new baseball players that are now occupying the field. But there is trouble brewing in paradise as Ray's brother-in-law comes to serve foreclosure papers on the farm. Then things take a deadly turn for the worse.
You build a baseball field in the middle of nowhere, and you sit here and you stare at nothing.
Not nothing.
And you turn your daughter into a damn space
Get your
kid.
hands off her.
Trying to help you, damn it!
Is she all right?
I don't know.
Is she breathing?
Should I get the car?
I'm gonna call emergency.
Annie, wait.
What?
Just wait.
What do we got here?
She fell.
This child's choking to death.
Get her up.
Hold it steady now. Hot dog. Stuck in her throat. Oh, she'll be all right. She'll be turning handsprings before you know it.
Thank you, Doc.
No, son. Thank you.
Oh my God, you can't go back. You can't go back, can you?
It's all right.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. I best be getting on home before Alicia begins to think I got a girlfriend.
You know, some dreams for us don't always turn out the way we expect them to. We manifest according to our thoughts. The universe conspires with you. It has your back. But the end result may not be what you pictured. It may be better, as Ray Kinsella discovers.
What? What are you grinning at, you ghost?
If you build it, he will come.
Oh my God.
What? What is it?
It's my father. Ease his pain.
Go the distance.
It was you.
No, Ray. It was you.
No, Ray, it was you. If you build it, he will come. Ease his pain. Go the distance. Ray's imagination manifests his chance to reconcile with his father.
You catch a good game.
Thank you. It's so beautiful here. For me, it's like a dream come true. Can I ask you something? Is this heaven?
It's Iowa.
Iowa? Could have sworn it was heaven.
place dreams come true. Maybe this is heaven. Good night, Ray. Good night, John. Hey, Dad? You want to have a catch?
I'd like that.
You know, it's funny, when the movie came out, the line, "Is this heaven? No, it's Iowa," ended up being used by the Iowa Department of Tourism. Leave it to those business dudes to take advantage, huh? Now, speaking of heaven, Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity Beach at that time, says in The Revealing Word that heaven is the Christ consciousness, the realm of divine mind, a state of consciousness in harmony with the thoughts of God. Heaven is everywhere present. It is the orderly, lawful adjustment of God's kingdom in man's mind, body, and affairs. Unity principle number 1, there is only one power, one presence, active is the universe and is my life, God the good. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of this talk, the movie is really about forgiveness, although it has a little baseball in it. You can't miss that. But it's really about forgiveness. So maybe you'll be inspired enough this week to forgive someone for some perceived wrong they did to you. But I think it's more important if you would forgive yourself first for whatever you did in the past, whatever hurt you perceived you caused others or to yourself. Because, folks, it starts with you. Loving kindness and compassion for yourself can open you up. It can soften your heart. The genuine heart, as we say in Buddhism, of bodhicitta. So you can have loving kindness and compassion for others. It's the only way. And it's the only way we're going to get through this mess, folks. If you haven't seen Field of Dreams, rent the movie. But better yet, read the book and allow for your own imagination to create the picture. So to paraphrase, is this heaven? Nah, it's Panama City with a little rain on the side. Namaste.